In today's video, we're gonna go over how I got from a bare metal van to a fully insulated and floored van. Let's get into it. We are back and we're gonna do something a little different this episode. The last two were kind of getting a little stale, so I'm gonna switch it up and try to make this more fun. That being said, I just wanted to show you some of the things I've done off camera, and then we'll get into today's project. So, got this little shelf installed, and it's got this rod here so I can put a curtain across here to kind of black it out when I'm camping. I did have to take this headliner down and put some insulation in behind it. And then the other thing, if you can see along all of these panels, is I got sound deadening installed. It's essentially a process of taking these pieces of rubber and just pressing them as hard as you can with like a little roller and making sure they stick. And it's hard to tell on camera, I know, but when you do it, it's quiet. So today's project is the floor. So it is currently 22 degrees outside, Fahrenheit. So it's a little chilly, but I kind of got sick of just waiting on the weather to figure out what it was going to do. So I found this sweet liquid nails product. It's called Fuse It All Surface, and it works on pretty much everything. Pause it if you want to see. But one of the key things is it bonds in extreme temperature. So 0 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, which means it works at 22 degrees and it'll get up to 40 today, probably by the time I'm actually using it. So at the end of today, well, this video rather, should have the whole subfloor in, the actual floor, well, minus the like glass finishing floor, but you get my point, and all the insulation in. Trying to make big moves, trying to get things done. Plus, garage is looking a little full, so the more we can get out of it, the better. First things first, pick up the existing floor. And oh yeah, real quick before I forget, picked up this knee pad. Nice hard, well, soft but thick foam to, protect my knees. One thing that's key, put all the parts in a bag so you can find them later in case you want to sell anything. And yes, I've been putting gloves on because it's cold. What's irritating is this supposedly had Velcro on it, but it didn't want to come off. So broke that front board, which means won't be able to sell this, so it's just going in the scrap pile. All right, so here we have just kind of the raw floor, and my task for today, well, part of my task is to put essentially a subfloor under it. Since I want to be able to use this in all 4 seasons, because hunting season is the cold season, I want to have a 1-inch subfloor. So I'm going to put in some structural support and then fill in the gaps with essentially like insulating foam, the stuff that you see on houses. So what I need to do is I need to plan where I'm going to put my supports, because you got to remember there's a walking path in the middle, and shower, cabinets, like a refrigerator, sink. Here is going to be the water tank. Here is where all of the batteries are going to be, and electrical. Here's the desk, and then on top of everything back here, there is the bed. So the tricky part is figuring out where I can save some space on, save some material on support, but also make it wide enough and safe enough so that it supports the heaviest parts and kind of doesn't creak and wobble and whatever as you're walking on it. So I guess there's nothing to it but to, you know, do it. So here we go. Well, we've got the structure down. The only thing that I'm sort of missing right here is the end piece that will sit right at the threshold. I'm waiting to do that part until I have a better idea of where the floor is going to end so that it meets up with that pretty spot on. And then what's next is to cut the foam to fill in all of these gaps so that there's a solid flooring. So what I'm going to do next is just kind of measure out all of these gaps and make sure that they're evenly spaced, and then I will start cutting foam. Once that's done, we can actually test fit the plywood on top of it. So making good progress. All right, now we got the foam insulation in. I tried to leave a little bit of space. It's kind of hard to see just in case they need to shift a little bit as I'm, you know, like gluing them down. And plus, like, foam on metal just tends to squeak, so I was hoping for a little bit of a gap. And now I just need to test fit the actual plywood. Then I have to take all of this out, clean the floor, and then glue them all down. It's a fun little process, but I think it's worth it because the insulation is going to be just clutch in the colder months. So now to try to put the plywood in. We kind of did it. I mean, it's not in here permanently, but it is in here, and that's a big win. So I get the joy of taking this all out here and cleaning, and then putting it all back in. But hey, it's in here. We've got a floor. Big day. Now I gotta do my best Cinderella impression and rub the whole back of the van down with odorless mineral spirits. Wish me luck. All right, the microphone died, so this is the normal camera audio, but cleaned it all up. Everything is back in. I need to just open this stuff up and start applying, but it is currently dinner time, so I'm gonna go eat and then come back out. I will try my best with some lighting, otherwise I will just show you the end product. Sorry, I'm trying to make these interesting and not just like a how-to video stuff. I just want to keep sharing my progress because this is fun to me and I'm getting more and more pumped to use it. So I just want to keep you guys all updated. All right, it's the next morning. It got darker faster than I expected last night, so made no progress, ate some pizza, enjoyed dinner, and rested. So that means all of this needs to be done today, and then got to get the insulation up on the walls and everything. So it is currently 25 degrees, hence the hoodie, and we're really going to put the sealant claim of being able to seal in 0 to 140 degrees to the test. All right, as you can see, got all the stuff glued down and got the wood panels on top, and then I got the heaviest objects I could find just to kind of add some weight to them. So now I'm gonna let these sit for probably like an hour or two and just get a good firm hold, maybe heat up a little bit so they set a little faster, and then I'll come back out and start working on the insulation. The wood is not actually secured. It's just sitting on top of it, kind of giving it a flat surface that's like an even weight distribution thing. So either later tonight or like first thing tomorrow, I'll just come out here and actually like screw everything together. But yeah, we're making good progress even though it's cold out. So making do. All right, so I've got the floor kind of curing. It's probably sat for about 2 hours at this point, but I need to keep moving. So next up, I'm going to work on the insulation. As I already said, I got these sound deadening sheets put up there. You only need about 30% coverage, I believe, to have it work. I clearly put more. The next thing I'm going to add is this stuff. It is called Duck Liner from TecVanLife. And it is a closed cell like mini foam. It's got this reflective material on the outside and then a peel and stick layer on the interior to help kind of put it up. And this is going to act, it says it has a little bit of sound deadening properties. The main thing I'm doing is it's like more of a moisture barrier. So we're going to have sound deadening, a little bit of moisture barrier, and a little bit of reflection so thermal heat will kind of get passed back in. And then on top of this, I will put actual like 3M Thinsulate insulation material that kind of creates more of like an air gap. So I'm going to put this in most places, but like I can't get it in this tiny little gap, so that'll just be insulation. I'll do as much of this as I can. I will cover this whole panel, but then I've got to leave some of these areas kind of open because I'm going to cut holes in them, so I don't know exactly where I'm going to fit everything. So I'm going to do my best to put these in more crucial areas, just because I don't think one roll will be enough, but I think 2 rolls is overkill. So we're going to see just how far I can get with this and make a decision about getting a second one. But I should be able to at least get, you know, a good chunk of this done today. This is incredibly sticky, which is a good thing, but harder to work. The last step for insulation is this Thinsulate from 3M. It'll expand a little bit more and it creates more of like that traditional air gap insulation. And so you just take this 3M 90 spray adhesive, coat in there, and then you do the same thing on this side. You give it about 20 seconds to tack up, and then you apply it. So I let it sit just a little bit wetter in some of these tighter spots because I want to be able to slide it just ever so slightly, and then it cures up just fine. So I know it's not necessarily the recommended method, but in a couple of the sample slots that I've done this in, they seem to work out a bit better than waiting for it to get fully tacky. And then I just fluff it up a little bit. Might have to come back and trim this. We'll see how the wall goes, but there you have it. just like that, we're done. Pretty big deal. I think this is the first well, okay, the shelf above there was the first permanent, installation, but this is huge. And then all of this insulation, awesome. Also, it's hard to convey on video, but if you touch the bare metal and then you touch this insulation, total difference. All in all, I would say this was a pretty large project, but I got it done, and I got it done in a weekend. And if you think about it, I got insulation, multiple layers, and sound deadening, as well as a big piece of the puzzle that kind of prevents everything else from getting done. So I'm counting this as a huge win. I learned a lot of skills and accomplished quite a bit. There are a couple areas, see how tight that is to the metal and how much more space there is there. So I'm clearly not a professional, but at the end of the day, those are going to be hidden behind the walls, so I'm pretty stoked with how this turned out, not complaining at all. And when I was taking the wood off prior to gluing it all down and like permanently installing it, there were a couple spots where the foam was creaking against the metal bars. And luckily enough, I caught that, and it gave me a little bit of pause when I was going to do the final install. But luckily, I don't know if you can hear it, because if you can, that's a bad thing, because you shouldn't hear it. There's no squeaks. It's perfectly flat. No creaks, no rattles, no nothing. This is a huge win. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you around the bend.